Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. I do have some breaking news out of the White House as you take a live look of the White House itself on this snowy Wednesday afternoon, as President Trump has just gotten off the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin, now inviting him to the United States. And I wanted to share some social media posts that President Trump just shared on Truth Social. And that is this right here. President Trump saying, quote, "I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects. We both reflected on the great history of our nations and the fact that we fought so successfully together in World War II, remembering that Russia lost tens of millions of people and we likewise lost so many. We each talked about the strengths of our respective nations and the great benefit that we will someday have in working together. But first, as we both agreed, we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia and Ukraine." Going on to say this, quote, "President Putin even used my very strong campaign motto of common sense. We both believe very strongly in it. We agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. We have also agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately, and we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation, something I will be doing right now. I have asked Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of the CIA John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Ambassador and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations, which I feel strongly will be successful. Millions of people have died in a war that would not have happened if I were president, but it did happen, so it must end. No more lives should be lost. I want to thank President Putin for his time and effort with respect to this call and for the release yesterday of Mark Fogel, a wonderful man that I personally greeted last night at the White House. I believe this effort will lead to a successful conclusion, hopefully soon." Another live look right here of the White House as President Trump met with Mark Fogel yesterday, an American history teacher who was deemed wrongfully detained by Russia. He was released and returned to the U.S. in what the White House described as a diplomatic thaw that could advance negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Now, the Kremlin saying that a Russian citizen was freed in the United States in exchange for Moscow's release of Mark Fogel, but did not identify that particular individual until he arrives in Russia, quote, "in the coming days." Steve Witkoff, a special envoy for President Trump, left Russia with Fogel, bringing him to the White House late yesterday. We shared video of that exchange, and President Trump welcomed him home. Fogel saying, quote, "I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now," as he stood next to President Trump with an American flag around his shoulders. So breaking news, as we now know that President Trump has invited Russian President Putin to D.C., also saying in his statement that he plans on also traveling to Russia. There was no timeline in terms of when these visits might happen, but according to President Trump, they are working to expedite the end of the war between Russia and Ukraine, stating that too many lives have been lost and that the war must end. We're going to step away for another 2-minute break of the hour. After that, heading back to Capitol Hill as the Senate now debating the nomination of RFK Jr. We'll be right back.